I'm Hara Allison, and this is Dream Anyway, a podcast for those of us who feel the pull to create, even when the path isn't clear. So wherever you are in your journey, grab a coffee, get comfy, and dream anyway.
Well, hi, my name is Hannah Talbot. I am the owner and founder of Hara Healing Center. We're just a block away from you.
Yeah.
So we're neighbors. And yeah, we're right downtown. We are a healing center dedicated to community care and self-care and really dropping people into their heart centers and that having a ripple effect out far and wide. So yeah.
What was the impetus to start that?
Well, my own burnout, really. I think the story is about, probably 10 years ago or so, maybe even longer now. I found my own way to burnout, just doing all of the things. I was director of operations for 4 restaurants and kind of leading a team of 100 plus people and 15 plus managers. And just kind of that feeling of being on 24/7 and a newer mom. I had a toddler who, it was so great and so fun and every moment was so cute and also just on all the time. And marriage felt hard. Everything just felt intense and like, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. And so I found my way into yoga and that led to mindfulness and that led to Reiki and energy work. But really somewhere in the yoga journey, the owner of the studio, my friend Nina, she's like, you should teach. And I just thought, what are you talking about? You are crazy. I'm way too messed up for that,
Sounds funny.
I haven't done my healing. I just assumed, of course, if you're a yoga teacher, that means you're blissed out all the time. You've mastered this, right? She's like, let me show you behind the curtain. And so that immediately sparked this idea to open up a studio and to open up my own yoga studio. And at the time I lived in Seattle and I knew that we would be eventually moving to Issaquah. My husband's family lived and, that's where we were going to kind of like settle and have our son go to school. And so like, I just started waking up at, 3 a.m. kind of, well, where would the studio be? What would it look like? What would it feel like? Who would be there? What would the class schedule be? What would the mission statement be? What would it be about? And that aspect of community care and self-care was at the heart of it. And that people would be dropped into their heart center was at the heart of it. And then this blessing, this wish, that everyone be nourished and ignited through no matter what I ended up doing, whether that be a yoga studio or whatever it ended up evolving into, that was the foundation that I worked from. And so, it just kind of evolved. So, okay, I'm going to open up a studio. Well, then I better learn how to teach yoga. So then take the teacher training. And then again, that led to mindfulness and meditation. And then that led to energy work and Reiki. And then that's when I really felt at home and then got the opportunity to teach with my Reiki master. And it really evolved kind of quickly from the idea of a yoga studio to this healing center and really the space that I was looking for, both as somebody who, was still looking for my own self-care and my own healing journey and, who are the practitioners and the classes that I was seeking out and like, what did I need? But then also as a teacher and a facilitator, what was I looking for when I was holding workshops? I had basically opened this mobile yoga studio and kind of mini retreats. Opened it up with a friend and we, we're doing these mini retreats that would come to you. And I had like just a whole yoga studio just kind of in my garage. And so I was going to all of these spaces, setting up these sanctuaries and renting places out for a weekend to teacher training or a day or a night. And so what was I looking for? And also where did I want to hold one-on-one clients? And so I essentially opened the space that I wanted both as a seeker and as a teacher and facilitator. And so Hara is really meant to be that. So a place where you can just drop in and get care for you, but also connect with others if that's what you're looking for and needing. But then if you're a practitioner, if you're somebody who has a modality to share, like, we have a space for you to rent. And so it's really flexible and it's evolved into so many things, right? Because we do about 20 different things.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah. If you allow yourself to be directed to where you're meant to go, and it often doesn't feel good, right? In the moment, it does not feel good.
Especially when you want something.
Want it so bad.
I do think you have to be open.
Yeah. The dream to open up this studio had already been percolating for, 3-4 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like how Spokane happened was a girlfriend who's from here, but lived in Seattle. It's like, we're moving back to Spokane. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And she showed me Zillow. Oh, shit.
So you could sell your house. And
here was the dream to open this studio. And I'd done the business plan. I tried to do everything I can to think of how am I going to get a loan for $250,000. And, that was when I was thinking it was going to be a hot yoga studio. And I knew it was going to take a lot, right? And so not that I spent that, but I spent a good chunk of money. We sold our house and decided to move out here. I didn't know anyone in Spokane. I didn't,
I moved here the same way from Miami.
Yeah.
It is hard though. I'm glad you have built such a good community.
I think that Spokane, personally, my experience has been that Spokane's made it easy. I lived in plenty of other neighborhoods and I was in the Seattle area for over 17 years and I knew lots of people.
Right.
But the beauty about Spokane that it is this, small town, big city. It's so easy to get anywhere in the city. I moved here by myself. My husband and I actually separated at the time. And I came out with my son and it was COVID. And I wasn't opening up an event space. We hadn't sold our house yet. I didn't have any money. It was just like a leap of faith. And I would just drive around and get lost and end up on different streets and like, oh, okay. And then going on different hikes and just seeing different neighborhoods. And as soon as I made the decision, it was a literal conscious decision. Like, okay, I think the timing is right. I think I'm ready to start networking. That was like end of September 21. I moved here in April of 21. So like 6 months later or whatever. I think I'm ready to start meeting people. And I was in First Avenue Coffee. And then I literally walked out the door and met people. And then haven't stopped meeting people in Spokane ever since. And, within 3 weeks, I was looking at the space for Anam Cara. And by November 1st, had signed a lease.
What does Anam Cara mean?
It is Gaelic for soul friend. And the fun story of how I found the term Anam Cara, my friend and I had opened a business. And so the original name of that and the LLC that we had, it just didn't vibe anymore. It didn't really work. And so I was sitting with it for months of like, well, what to change it to? Because obviously if you put that much effort into all the branding. And so at the time I called myself a soul care practitioner because it's like, well, I do lots of things.
Yeah.
I do coaching, but it's like, it's care for your soul. And so I called myself a soul care practitioner. So it had been months, and I'd been doing a lot of my own ancestral work at the time and going through my lineage and just doing some of that ancestral repair and medicine for myself. And so connecting to my own Gaelic and Celtic lineage and those ancestors. And so that was kind of there. And I decided I'm going to do a meditation. I'm going to do a journey. And so I lit all these candles in my bath and I really made it a beautiful ritual and flowers. And okay. And I just kept hearing soul friend, soul friend, soul friend. You're a soul friend. You're a soul friend. And so I was like, okay. When I got out of the bath, I Googled soul friend. And I specifically said soul friend in other languages. And I was thinking maybe Japanese because I was so connected to so much Reiki at the time. And the first thing that popped up was John O'Donoghue's book, Anam Cara, which he is a Irish priest and poet. And he used to love to hit the pub and have a good pint and just a good salt of the earth kind of human. And he wrote a book called Anam Cara that's all about a soul friend and what that means and what the meaning of Anam Cara is. And this idea that there's somebody who walks through life with you from birth all the way, not just to death, but through death. And that we can be each other's,
that's really cool.
And
oh, I love that.
Isn't that beautiful? And just the ties to the him being Irish, and I've got Irish and Scottish relatives and a lot of German, and so that just very Gaelic just was like, oh yes,
I love that. Yeah.
And he also wrote one of my favorite books called To Bless the Space Between Us, and it's blessings for all of life's occasions. And that's what I was doing at the time. Was we're going to do retreats for all of life's occasions. We'll help you, celebrate the good times, but we'll also help you celebrate transition. We will meet you, when you have lost a loved one. We'll meet you when you are welcoming the birth of a loved one. We'll meet you when you've lost a pet. That was what I was doing.
Do you know what Hara means in Japanese?
No.
It means belly.
Oh, I was going to say, no, right.
Abdomen.
That's right. Yeah. And that's your power center. Yes. Yes.
Hara Kiri is actually Hara Kiri. Belly cut. That's what that means. When you have Hara, you have everything. That's in a book. Hara, the vital center of man. That's the name of the book. And I'm like, if you have to be something, the vital center of man is not too bad. That's right. My mom did not know that. I'm absolutely sure.
When I was 15 years old, I convinced my mom to let me get a tattoo. I basically was like, I'm going to do it anyway. And so you can either be with me or I'm going to go do it in another way, And so she came with me and I picked a Japanese kanji that means soul.
Oh, cool.
At least I think it does. Oh. It's just for me now. You know? I'm like, I don't even at this point, I don't know if I want to know. No. I am pretty sure that is what it means, but still she was like looking over, kind of the guy's shoulder. She's like, yeah, that's going to look like shit as you get older. So I'm like, anyway.
Is she wrong?
Well, she passed away when I was 19. And so it's actually something that I kind of like.
It's an endearment.
I purposely kind of don't want to know because it's sort of our connection. Because, she passed when I was 19. And so it was only a few years later, really. Yeah. So it's one of like the
How
fun
old was
things.
she?
She was only 43. Yeah. So now I just turned 45 last year. Being 44 felt significant.
Yes. My mom passed away when she was 46 and I was 18.
Yep.
And I really did irrationally think I was dying at 46 because her mother also died at 46, actually.
Yeah.
And I knew it was irrational because my sisters passed the age. It didn't happen because I'm 58. But 2 days ago was my mom's 40th year of not being alive. On the 22nd. Oh, yeah, 2 days ago. 40 years. And actually, what I did this year was I decided to do free Mother's Day pictures because just in honor of my mom. But then I just thought today when I was walking in and out of this place, I'm going to do also a free motherless daughters.
Oh, that's lovely
thing because
I know
what
a lot
about
of
those of us
would really appreciate
right?
that.
Me too. Yep. Anyway, those are my people anyway. So I got to figure what that's going to look like. But
I love that offer. That's beautiful.
You're just going to make something happen for those of us who feel lonely in the world.
Yep.
For me, it has affected my life.
Right.
Missing my mother.
Yes.
I mean, I've spent a lifetime of missing her.
Yeah.
And even when I had her, I missed her because she wasn't really, she had 6 kids. And so I was the youngest. And as I get older, of course, I'm way more good with it. But I mean, I'm shocked at how much I miss her. And it's 40 years.
Yeah. I just sent an email to somebody yesterday who had expressed that they had just lost their mother. And I'm over, 25 years now. And it feels different at different times. But that it never feels like something, I'm always missing her. To have people in my life who, when I was younger, that I could have a sense of stability and family, it really rocked my family. And for lots of reasons, we don't have long enough to get into all of it, but it's like that I didn't lean super heavy on my dad and my brother. And they were having their own situation and their own experience. And so I was really lucky to have, I think I've always had guardian angels for all, my entire souls. And we all do. Obviously we all do. But I think my soul came in here with a particular mission and it's just like hell bent on getting it done. And my guides are just goddamn exhausted from keeping up with me and doing it the hard way. But there's always been this sense of a safety net. Like I could have gone off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could have free fallen a few times.
Yeah.
And maybe should. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're like, oh shit, how'd I literally live through that?
Yeah.
There's been lots of people in my life throughout every year that I can think of, that I'm like, oh, that person was significant to me at this time and I needed them for this and they were an anchor for this. I know that I've been that for other people too, but I've just been really lucky to have maternal women in my life. I didn't always have the language for it. I was close with my grandma and my aunts, but then my grandma has since passed and my aunts have since passed. And so my mom was kind of the glue to our family. And then it just continued to sort of just.
Yeah. It was 6 kids too. And it unraveled.
So when you're like, how does it affect you? You're like, I'm shit. I'm sure it's the same as you. Because as soon as you were asking it, you were like, oh, that's so loaded. Because it's like, it literally has affected everything. I don't have any different lenses to see the world through.
Right.
She's been gone more than, same with you, right? Like I've lived more of my life without her than with her.
And then, she's not there for the wedding, the birth of your kids, those things that there's just a big hole no matter what. And even though we're professional businesswomen and it's not holding us back and we're not victims. It is true though. That there's a big hole.
And actually there's that. So there's the reality, the 3D, the real experience of my day to day is that like you said, we don't have that person, that thing to lean on. But then I do feel like I have a relationship with her.
Yes, me
and
too.
I talk to her. And just today I was thinking about life through her experience. And I was like, that really hard, shitty thing that happened when I was 15 or 16. What was she even thinking? I can only think about what I was going through and like how bad it was for me and how that still affects me.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it just occurred to me recently that I had an abortion when I was 16 and she took me and it never even occurred to me what it was like for her until recently. And I'm 58. I was like, oh my gosh, what was she going through? Because I remember her saying that she asked some women what she should do. How to get help? I remember her we couldn't tell my stepdad.
Yep.
And so, it's so embarrassing actually that I didn't imagine it through her eyes.
And I feel like it's not that I didn't ever think about, oh, what was that like for her? But like my son just turned 14 and I'm like, I'm just a kid. Who gave me the keys?
Yes, no, 100%.
And
oh
so
my gosh.
I can imagine that they felt like that, right? That she's thinking like, okay, I'm taking my 16-year-old daughter.
I do remember her saying, you're trying to grow up too fast.
Yeah.
Stop it. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
And now I wish I had embraced those carefree summer days that now, with instead of the burden of all the responsibility, like
wanting to be older
wanting it so much, which I guess is just a natural thing. And I'm sure she understood. And the more I parented, the more I understood her. Yeah. Our relationship is so good now because she's not on a pedestal where she has to be some certain kind of mother. She was the person she was.
Right.
Because I understand that now.
Right.
I do miss her, but only because I just want to share things, not because I need her.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference now.
Yeah.
I was sexually abused when I was 7. And when I finally talked about it at 50, there was this sense of, oh my God, I don't have to carry the shame anymore that I've carried my entire life. I was free.
Did she know then?
Yeah, everybody knew. And nobody did anything. The boy was still allowed to come over and everything. And so that put me on a path of, well, that's what I'm worth.
Yeah.
So I blamed my mother for that as I was in all the terrible relationships. She didn't show me that I was worth anything to do anything about it. But I feel differently now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad I've been able to age into understanding her and loving her as the woman she was, not the mother I needed, because it's such a blessing.
That distinction is one maybe we get to the end of that ball of yarn that you're unraveling, right? But to me, it seems like it's something that you're sort of always picking through and kind of analyzing and looking at it. And it's one that we do look at and look through. One of my friends and teachers use the example of like, we don't have to always use a microscope to go through all our shit all the time. Like sometimes we need to just like, she's like, it's like when you're cleaning out the lint, you don't just go through and go, where did this come from? And where did this come from? And what sweater was, it's just, you just pull it out and you throw it away. But I think the way that we relate to our caretakers, it affects everything we do all day long and continues to. And then how we relate to them shifts and changes and evolves.
And until we do the work, which is what you're offering, and until we have mindfulness, it's up to me and how I choose to think about something. But that's beautiful that you're doing that for others, because that is the answer.
That ancestral medicine piece, that's a big term for sort of what we're talking about here, which is, and whether this is caretakers and ancestors and loved ones in this lifetime or potentially people you've never met.
Right.
We're all affecting the fabric of our lives right now.
Yeah.
And how we relate to it is really important. I think that when we do ancestral healing, that it heals past our future selves, it heals our past selves, and it's a gift back to the land that we're doing. It's a form of reparations to get clear on where you come from and how you got here and what your people did and where they were and why you might have some of the ideas that you have. How did your people get to where they got to?
I just wish we would talk about the hard things. Always. I do wish that. I wish that about death and all the things that hurt us and harm us, and then we can get away from that. The silence is the shame, I think.
And that is a big part of what we do, which is to try to create capacity for all of this. It's not to erase or to shame each other, to keep ourselves in these shame loops.
It does the exact opposite.
Exactly. It's like, no, it's to cleanse, to clarify, and to bring light and to, release those shackles of like, I have to carry this. This is my story. Or it's, I have no story, To me, our conversation around ancestry and around kind of our stories and really just the like owning your dreams and how do you get here, right? Like kind of that's where we started, was like, how do you get to Spokane? And to me, that's what I think is so beautiful and interesting about your lineage and looking at your ancestral medicine. And you can do it without actually having to talk to anybody. I didn't necessarily call or get on to, link up my DNA with anybody. I did some of my own research, and was able to find out so much. But it's like, how do we get to where we are? Like, what are our roots? And like, how did we get to where we are now, though, and today? And how exciting about where we're still going and what's still evolving. And so all of it makes me excited and hopeful. And I think that it all just, again, goes back to that idea of being soul friends and traveling through this life together. And our intention at Anam Cara is to be people's soul friend, is to be, somewhere where you can come meet yourself and discover yourself and keep evolving from there.
Thanks for listening.